systems that we call Genesis.
Whoa.
Now, to help me explain all this.
Okay, so they seem to have been working on this for like a pretty long time. I mean, they did mention it in a lot of ICSs and probably the previous CitizenCon as well. But what he is talking about here is making more unique biomes, or rather being able to create more realistic biomes. I believe is what he's saying, if I'm understanding correctly. And that always has been a concern for me as to how do you get all the planets in, well, basically any star system to vary in terms of environment, in terms of its visual fidelity, just to make each star system a little bit more unique as compared to the rest of them. So this one immediately popped to me. The amount of gameplay that could be forged from this sort of biome is just insane. So a thing that I have been really on the fence about is getting a ground vehicle. Because in the current state of the game, there really isn't a need for you to get a ground vehicle unless you're going down to a bunker or whatever location you're going to has AA support. Now, these sort of biomes, these sort of swamp biomes would basically force players to either take serious heed to what they're going to be doing next, as in bring a ground vehicle along, or if they do ever allow us to get ships to be submersible or float in water, that would also be great. You would have to take a smaller ship. As you can see, the trees here are as tall as well. So these sort of biomes would add sort of a passive gameplay mechanic where a certain amount of thought would be needed to will players need to put into actually arriving on these sort of locations and planets to be able to transverse them as well, since they're mostly water. So I am hoping that these swamp biomes aren't just little patches in some planets here and there, but we can actually get a full-blown swamp planet, you know, with its own ecosystem, its own fauna, its own sort of settlements that have evolved or rather adapted to living in the swamps. And yeah, this biome in particular is one that really piqued my interest, and I'm really looking forward to it. Just seeing the wind and the actual rain planet side with the lighting and the VFX and the sound, it all comes together just perfectly. So I do believe that hazardous weather conditions are going to be used as a keep out on some planets or some specific locations. Seeing as how thick the clouds are in this footage right now, I can imagine that would be very hard to navigate through them, as visibility would be low and lightning and thunder are, or rather lightning is a hazard, as it seems. But I do wonder the extent at which our ships can actually get damaged from environmental hazards such as lightning. Say for instance, if you could get struck by lightning and it would just turn off your radar, or some of your systems or smaller systems would just go critical. But then I would imagine that the damage would scale up with the size of the ship. Say for instance, if you were in a Mustang, you might probably lose all power, or your ship might actually blow up, as opposed to being in a constellation where you might take some damage but just not lose your ship entirely. So this is also a very beautiful showcase of the Zeus. Very well designed ship. Oh man, the flashes of lightning look insane. So visually, the weather system looks amazing. Like they knocked it out of the park. what I am thinking of is, or rather what I am concerned about is the performance of the weather system, like just how much impact it's gonna have on our PCs. But regardless, this looks amazing. Okay, so no visibility. It's gonna be a thing.
It's getting very sparky up here. Recommend deviation.
Oh, okay. Yes, so weather hazards definitely do cause damage to your ships. I'm just not sure if I'm happy about the amount of damage that they're showing here, but you know, it could always be adjusted. Oh, that looks insane.
And that's ATC.
I mean, with the social stuff, it really applies to a certain percentile of the player base. A good number of players, from my knowledge, do tend to play solo, but being able to bring what is essentially Spectrum and your Moby class together so that it's much easier for you to meet up with people, it's much easier to find people, and that would really bring a very, very nice element to what now feels like an empty universe. Like the moment you get into a server, everybody's just running around and doing their own thing. Nobody's really talking to anybody. So I really do hope that players do get a lot of use out of the social side of the Moby class once we do get it in its full version here. But one thing that I did want to specifically talk about in regards to the Moby class was the organization tab. So they seem to have taken a good amount of time into overhauling how organizations outside of the game and inside the game actually work. I mean, the whole org setup has always been an external thing in terms of gameplay and stuff like that. So seeing them bringing it together is just amazing. So we're just gonna watch through and pause here and there as they go through the explanations, just to share my views and thoughts on some of the things. So right now we are at the org search screen where you can request to join. You can search some orgs as well. So yeah, we're just gonna start off from here.
That we like playing in different ways and will want to join different orgs. The recruitment tab is the place to find them. So we're giving you the tools to promote your org to potential members in order to give a best first impression to them.
I've just noticed that, Ben. You might want to have a word with Rich. It looks like
What?
he doesn't want you.
No way. I'll have to speak with him.
Anyway, yes. So we're adding filters for when you're basically trying to find a home.
Okay, so going through the org screens, this is basically from the summary tab, right? So on the left here, it shows basically the org that you'll be representing, the colors that you'll be flying, and the other orgs that you have joined as well. So we are not limited to just joining one organization, which is good, but we will only be able to represent one organization and gain rep with one of them at a time. So one thing that I found pretty interesting here was basically the notifications panels here. So here we got announcements and org information. As you can see, I mean, these are very social announcements. I mean, there's a treasure hunt, so and so. But I thought to myself that if CIG gives us a way to not only just interact with the economy, but to be able to pull data from it, orgs can have people that are basically data miners within the game. They would keep an eye on commodity prices and stuff like that. So if your org, say now, were to craft or to specialize in crafting, and you guys were to make weapons, so there would be a specific list of mats that you guys would always be on the lookout for, right? And this sort of job can be delegated to somebody within the org to, say now, be data runners. You know, they always look at the commodity prices, they look at different prices in star systems, and they always keep the organization informed as to where the prices are cheap or the materials are available at all. So they will work in tandem with the traders and the cargo runners and so on and so forth. And this sort of announcements tab and org information, I feel like would be very key in relaying such information on the fly, as we would have right now with commodity price alerts. Say an announcement pops up from a data miner within the org saying, hey, so and so material is currently cheap at so and so. Adjust your routes or courses accordingly. The org needs so and so X amount of aforementioned material. So it's a very simple thing, but the utilization of it could be very game changing, especially when it comes to multiplayer, multi-crew, org related gameplay. So yeah, it's a, like how I'm saying, it's a very simple thing. It's just a notifications thing, but I feel like the usage of it could really bring out, well, more use from this org tab.
Org information. Simple stuff. You use them how you want to. Org chat. But this represents your relationship to the org you're in. Anything you do that benefits the org while you are representing it will gain you loyalty with them. So for example, you could be doing missions for the org-aligned guild.
So this is one other thing they mentioned in terms of the whole organizations thing and representation and how it works, right? So when you choose to represent a specific org and you do some missions for the org in relation to its guild missions, like the guild that the org is aligned with, you do gain a reputation, you gain loyalty points essentially. But I do hope that they expand the rewards to not just being an increase in reputation gain and contract payouts, but it being access to pardon, but it being, so it would be a system where you would gain rank as well. So if you were to have a certain amount of loyalty points, you would automatically gain, say, from sergeant to corporal, and get access to more privileges within your organization tab, as in more control, more information, more access to information, more access to org related, well, basically elevated access to everything org related, and have it tied in with the personal loyalty system so that you just don't feel like you're only getting monetary payment for your loyalty, you know, so you can also feel like you're actually moving up in the organization as well. Okay, so I am very happy with what they were able to produce with the new starware, as they call it. The combination between clothing and armor pieces is something that players have really wanted for a long time, and it's just not, it has just not been possible basically. But seeing as they now have the tech to do it, it looks pretty nice, man. Just a unique variation of clothing items that you can combine and get out of these is just mind-blowing to me. I was really impressed with this. But one thing that they showcased, I was that I felt was more important than just how you look, is basically the introduction of armor types, right? So what they did show us here was a variety of armor types and just the perks you can get with the different types of clothing that you can get in the game. So we are going to look at a few of them here.
Now, if we look at an overview, we've cherry-picked 6 generalized stats to give you like a high-level understanding of how various clothing and armors we specialized. This is by no means a comprehensive list of everything we have available to us. It's just a little, yeah. So here you can see the leader has low protection compared to a full suit of armor and no EVA capability for obvious reasons, but has great movement, low emissions, allowing them to blend into bustling cities and stations. The leader really excels at freedom of movement here. Let's meet our next members.
So these are some of the unique armor sets that we will be able to find in the verse. They do state that it will be a bit harder to find the complete sets, and you might need to put in a lot of effort to get them. But the passive rewards should make them worth it.
Okay. So here we have our pilot. If you remember, back in 3.23, we introduced our first specialized helmet visor, the combat visor. This introduced the dynamic crosshair and all the magazine information on your HUD. This is our pilot visor, which allows the wearer to link with their ship and cast MFDs directly into their visor. This provides the pilot with all the essential data like ship health and shields, so no longer will the pilot need to break concentration during an intense situation to look down at their MFDs. Again, like the leader in this situation, there'll be no penalties to flight, plus with added G-force resistance, the wearer will be able to get the most from out of their ship. So if we look at the pilot stats, they have fantastic mobility, like I mentioned, great G-force resistance for when combat takes them to the limit of human endurance. And finally, this suit comes with the best EVA capability in its class for when remaining in your ship is no longer an option.
So one thing that I also do want to mention is I love how they added stats to the suits now, where now you would just put on whatever EVA suit or space suit you have or can fit on and just head out. So now you kind of have to give a bit of thought to what you want to be doing in that play session. And we also get set bonuses for having the full suit on, of which is always good in my opinion. I love set bonuses. So basically with this, they take us through the different types of suit classes, armor classes, so to speak. And it generally ranges in what you would expect from, a game of this nature, from a heavy to a pilot, medical, driver, so on and so forth. But one thing that I was a bit disappointed in was that they didn't show us actual gameplay of what it's like to be in one of these suits. They did show us, a complete team of, well, rather a suited up crew, or rather what a suited up crew would look like, but not necessarily the individual benefits and or use cases. And most importantly, heads up displays of each of the suits. So that did disappoint me a bit. So I'm just gonna skip over to the actual meeting up of the crew and what these guys were getting up to. I mean, you got some very, very insane callbacks here that I really want to share with you guys. So yeah, this is our whole crew assembled. You would have the leader. Benefits being that you can enter some restricted areas because some areas won't allow you to have armor on. This being our pilot, added G-force resistance. This being the driver, same G-force resistance, weather resistance. We got heavies here. We got a sniper down here, and this is a tracker. So a tracker having higher active scanning capabilities, just higher input as well as a drop bag, a sniper, high mobility, so on and so forth. So it's basically what you would expect from the classes. It's just what I was hoping for is to get an actual demonstration of each of the classes and what they currently look like from the perspective of you as the player. But then again, we're just gonna go into the footage right now and let's see what basically these classes can do in a multi-crew situation.
Is in the pyro system. So without further ado, let's find out what they're up to.
So I'm just going to be giving a bit of input as we watch through this demonstration here. Just a bit of commentary here and there. So this is one type, one new mission type that I was very excited that they added. It really implores players to play as a crew and have different roles and stuff like that. So what you have to do is get a ground vehicle to draw out the Velikar. The sandworm is back. Okay, I don't know what this guy's doing on foot. We finally got the sandworm back. Okay. So this is essentially a bring down the sandworm mission. I was wondering how the sandworm was gonna counter flying enemies such as ships, but it just spits at you by the looks of it. And the spit is deadly. Okay, so the texture on its skin just changed. Is that indicating that it took some form of damage? Does seem like the Velikar does quite a bit of damage to ships with its congealed spits. Ooh, nearly got him there. So outside of dodging the rocks from the worm, you guys would also have to avoid crashing into each other. This is a very close quarters atmosphere flight, so to speak. It's a very close quarter dogfight, yeah. Okay, so the sandworm does run away and it comes back from time to time. So you need to actively keep it on you. Sheesh. I'm not sure how much help that's gonna be. Yeah, this event looks like a very, very fun time for an organization. And it's down. So having the harvestables is a very nice touch to the sandworm. I mean, ultimately, nobody's gonna want to fight this giant thing just for the sake of it. So having a good amount of profit for it would also like entice the players a lot. So seeing as how they did get some teeth and pearls from it, I do believe these are used as materials for some very unique and or expensive blueprints. So yeah, that was a showcase on basically multi-crew gameplay using the suits here and the sort of gameplay mechanics that they want to introduce within the game. But then again, I am just gonna repeat myself in saying that I would have loved to see actual visor footage from the classes themselves. Say now doing a bounty mission where they were hunting down a fugitive or something. I mean, hats off to the Senwar, you know. But I feel like we would have gotten more detail and explanation if it had been that sort of thing. Say now that I went on ArcCorp, I'm chasing down a bounty, a tracker, a driver, just yeah. But that's just me. So from here on out, we are gonna go. One thing I did want to show you guys is they basically showed off a creature roster with all the art sketches of the creatures that I think they either have completed or want to bring into the game. So I'm just gonna show you the creatures and just have a little bit of a tidbit at the end there. So that being the Copion, the Marek, the Grazer, we already have those in game, the Velakar. I hope we have that in game too. So this seems like it's a varying list of unique creatures that would be able to hunt down and potentially capture. So what I am hoping that they're doing by showing this is showing that wildlife hunting is going to be an actual profession within the game. So I would love for them to just make it a bit more detailed, where you aren't just going to a location and shooting, you know, and like this thing, or just gonna get there and see out all the copians. You know, I mean, it's not as rewarding in my opinion. I would love to see some missions where you would have to go and bring in some of them alive. So instead of killing it, you would have to track it down and tranquilize it, maybe fight off a few of its packs, so on and so forth. But in that same breath, it would mean that they would have to introduce a concept of tranquilizers and blood chemistry and the drug system of which is already in the game with our healing and that sort of stuff. So being able to mix tranquilizers for different effects or for different creatures is a mechanic that honestly seems a bit extra, but I would love to see within the game. It would make the whole wildlife hunting thing just a bit more interesting in my opinion. You know, having to find a specific creature makes a tranquilizer for it that is only specific to it, and if you want certain effects within that tranquilizer, you would bake them in as well. So yeah, something that I would really love to see within the game.
But today, I'm going to talk to you about what's beyond Pyro. So let's strap in and we'll take a look. My name's Ian. I'm the creative director for Star Citizen. And let's start by looking up into the stars and saying hello to an old friend.
The way they've been able to develop uniquely shaped asteroids is pretty insane, man. So it looks like we're getting Levski back.
Awesome. All right. So this is Nick's system. Nix was discovered in 2582 by Carl Larry.
So it does seem like the next system that we are getting after Pyro is gonna be Nix. Not sure if I'm particularly happy about that. Would I love to see a more unique one? But they did also introduce a new star system as well that they will be introducing alongside Nix.
A center of trade.
I'm just gonna skip over to it. So it seems like it has very mountainous terrain, in that the mountains here are huge. It looks to be a super Earth. So if it is actually already indeed a super Earth, then this would be a very interesting planet to visit. Now this is a place I would love to visit. Yeah, this has to be a super Earth.
This level of
So I'm just gonna take us over. This was the final showcase of the day. It was the redacted section on the itinerary. So what we did get was about an hour and 30 minutes long footage of Squadron 42 gameplay. And as much as I would love to post it on the channel, I'm just gonna put a link in the description there so you can check it out for yourself in all its quality on the Star Citizen official YouTube channel. So this last showcase was a brief some words from Chris Roberts himself, just talking to the crowd and basically giving remarks on the progress of Star Citizen and so on and so forth. Just usual CitizenCon stuff. So I would love to implore you guys to check out that Squadron 42 gameplay there. And if you want to check out the rest of the speeches, just go over to the Star Citizen YouTube channel, all unedited. And yeah, so this was basically just my experience with the live yesterday, things that I was excited for, some of the things I was honestly disappointed by, because as much as we're seeing all these features, the biggest question that is on everybody's mind right now is, when are we going to get them? When are we going to see this in our hands? And when are we going to actually be able to go out to these amazing places that that they're showing for us, right? I mean, Sherman Station looks insane, but as to how long it will be till we get it, we still don't know. So yeah, I really hope you guys did enjoy CitizenCon as much as I did. It's gonna be, I believe it should be day 2 in the next few hours in my time zone, and just gonna get some coverage of that too, and I'll see you guys then.